Good morning. It's Christine Line, your high performance coach, and today I want to dive into a topic that is always at the forefront whenever I talk to clients, things that I'm working through every single morning in my practice of journaling and my morning routine, and that is that idea of how do we get more of what we want in life? How if we have been trying to reach a goal, maybe with our health or our finances or our relationships. I mean, those are kind of the top three that keep coming, or you're working with specific types of clients. It's like, how do I manifest more of that? How do I create and generate more of that for myself? And what's the quickest way to get there? And so I really wanted to talk about one of the key takeaways from some of the work I've been doing, and also the time that I spent last week when I was at Business Mastery in West Palm Beach with Tony Robbins and 2,500 or 3,000 other amazing human beings. And that is like, how do we expand our world? How do we continue to up level? And that's really what this whole, topic is about that I work through with you guys, is how do I up level my health? How do I up level my relationships? So the quickest way to do this, first of all, I'm going to recap that you guys have heard me talk a lot about clarity as the foundation. So the first thing I see when I work with clients is that, and myself, whenever there's something that I'm not getting, it's like I've lacked the clarity. I'm not super clear on what it is that I want. I have some idea, it's a little bit fuzzy. I kind of know what it looks like or feels like, but especially if your subconscious has been programmed to think that that's not something that's accessible to you, or that's something that was way out of reach for you, or just not part of your world, it's going to be really tough to get super clear on that. So first step is always defining that clarity, making sure you're really clear on what you want and what you don't want. And I have another session about this topic and how to really break that down. But let's say you are clear on what you want. You finally have done the work and you're like, yes, I know exactly what it is I want, and the type of client I want to work with, or the type of projects I want to work with, or I know exactly what I want with my level of health. Maybe it's I remember when I wanted to do my first triathlon or try a new thing with, physically, or I wanted to make a certain amount of money. I wanted to make my first 100,000, whatever it is. Once you get clear on that, then we got to go, okay, how do I accelerate getting to that place? How do I start moving in that direction? So the quickest way to expand is through interpersonal relationships and mentors. This is huge because our subconscious, if we've never experienced it before, if we don't know what it's really like to step into that place because we've never really felt the deep love, or we've never had that level of wealth or financial growth, we've never taken on a project this way, or a client that wants to work with us in this capacity, or we've never experienced our health, it's really hard for your brain to go, oh, I don't know if that's like a reality for me. Like, that seems like way too far out of my reach. And one of the things I noticed when myself going through this, but also working with clients, is they'll talk about what they would like to have, but it's like, I don't know that that's a reality for me. So we want to get clear on what that is, but then we want to find a way to trick your brain into saying, okay, this is actually possible. This is a reality that's out there, and this potential is available to me. So the quickest way to do that is to expand that potential by getting around other people, developing interpersonal relationships, and finding mentors. And so this idea that proximity is power is so powerful. And that's not my thing. That Tony says that over and over again. And it's so incredibly valid. And again, it's one of those things where yeah, you know that. And then you get in an environment where you see it exploding around you, and how quickly things can come to fruition and start to happen when you surround yourself with the right people. So why is it so critical that we expand those relationships, that we get around the right people, that we're in proximity to other people who are living the life that we want, or aligned with the life that we want? They're already starting to see the benefits of that in their life, or they're thinking in that way. Well, there's a couple things. Number one is definitely it starts to open up. There's three things really. Number one is it starts to open up our eyes and our mind to see that, okay, this stuff is actually really happening. I know that, especially when I was doing a lot of health coaching, and I still do, people will come in and they're surrounded by people who wake up tired and are tired at 2 o'clock. And later in the day, they're still freaking exhausted. They're bloated, they're fat, they're cramping, they're, mentally congested, and they feel like shit most of the time. So that's their normal. That's what they're surrounded with. So they think if they feel like average or a little bit above average, they're like, damn, I'm doing pretty good. Or if you have friends or you've been in relationships where debt has always been the norm, like a lot of debt, or an inability to get out of it, or gaining and losing wealth, like that becomes the set point. So proximity around other people that are stepping more into that realm, being around friends, or, even just like watching other couples that have a thriving relationship. It doesn't even ideally, if you can get around someone that is living it around you, that's fantastic, someone you can connect with, but you can also do this online. So, what that does is it starts to open up that part of our brain that goes, oh, wait a second, that's not normal. The way I've been living isn't actually normal. There's a new normal out there. And so the more we can expose ourselves to a new standard of normal, our brain, our subconscious mind starts to go, okay, wait a second. Whoa, there's actually a totally different reality happening, and it's happening all around me. So it starts to open that center up. And once your subconscious mind can start to tap into seeing is believing. Okay, seeing is believing. So it's very hard to believe something we don't see. So the thing is, like, I got to create an environment that allows me to see it. So that starts to activate that piece. The second piece of proximity is that, of course, when you are surrounded by other people who are playing a bigger game, who are expecting more of themselves, if you want to up level your health, you got to get surrounded with people that are working out 3 to 5 times a week, that are eating clean, that are going to bed early and doing the proper sleep hygiene, instead of staying up all night watching Netflix, drinking 5 coffees a day, not working out because, they don't have time because they have 3 kids and their life is crazy. Well, guess what? So does a million other people that are working out. So people that are living in their excuses and allowing them to seep into them, they're not going to be challenging you to rise up to the next level. So one of the things that has been incredibly powerful for me, every time I just inject myself in a new environment, whether it's a new networking group or a new conference, or I create new friendships, or I develop, relationships with new colleagues or whatever, I'm really being intentional, thinking like, okay, I got to surround with people who are not only just going to give me fluff and make me feel good about myself, but I'm going to really have to like up level how I show up, who I am, how I think, because I'm going to need to like keep up with them. And so I'm using that inspiration to also challenge myself to play a bigger game. So this is like going back to the athlete, the athletic days when I was running a ton, I was training a ton. It's so easy. I remember joining run clinics. And when I first started, I was like, okay, I just want to start to like to run. So I would start running, with the running group. And then I quickly realized like, damn, I could actually be a pretty good runner here. And what I started to do is I started to go out with the more advanced groups. Even though I was like the back of the pack, I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out a way that if I can just barely hang on by a thread to these fast people, they're going to force me to get way out of my comfort zone. And I was. And I did the same thing with cycling when I was training for triathlons. And I was like, I got to get to I got to own the bike. I wanted to really own the bike so that I knew that I was a little powerhouse. And if I could really dial that in, I could hold my own on the run. And so I started finding guys that were in their mid 40s that were total beasts on a bike. And I was hanging on for dear life. I was like, okay, I'm coming on a bike ride with you. And we'd be doing 40, 60, sometimes 100K. And I know that sounds crazy. And it was. I remember one day we pulled over and I didn't even bring enough food with me. And we were about 40 or 50K in. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. I was hitting the wall. And they're like, yeah, we're doing 100. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh. It was I thought the bike ride was over and it was halfway through. But it was those moments that forged me to the next level. It was every hill that I didn't want to climb that I looked at and I was like, holy shit, how are we even going to climb this? I'm totally going to have to walk this thing. But I kept throwing myself in that. So that idea of whether it's that or whether it was the business, growing my business, it was really getting around people who were thinking in a totally different level, not just the 1% increment different that I wanted, not the next little step up, but people who were really thinking differently. And what that did is it forced me to start thinking differently. And so I got to ask you, have you been kind of hiding out from really looking up to go, where are the people that are going to challenge me in a big way? Because sometimes we can avoid this, and I've done this too. Like, I've seen it with my clients, I've seen it in myself, where it can be intimidating to all of a sudden throw yourself, and you don't feel like, you get all these BS things that pop up for you, like, oh, I'm not worthy to be part of that group, or I don't know enough, or I'm not strong enough, or I don't have enough money, or my business isn't where it needs to be, so I don't deserve a place or a seat at the table. And that is total crap. So we really need to release that mindset and just go like, hey, start asking. So that's the second piece about proximity. The third piece is that, so number one, it allows our subconscious to see what the potential is that's available. It starts to show us this new alternate reality that is actually existing. And so it was there the whole time, but sometimes we're blocked. We can't see it because we were stuck in this low normal state based on the people and the environments that we've grown up with, what we've seen, and what we keep creating for ourselves. The second piece, it allows you and it really challenges you to play a bigger game, to think differently, to show up differently, to get really uncomfortable when you don't want to, because you're basically struggling to keep up. And that is actually a great thing. That's where you want to be. And the third reason why it's so critical, this idea of like proximity and being around the right people, is that it really, opens up doors and opportunities that you're just not going to experience staying where you are. I think about like one of the biggest accomplishments for myself over the last few years, and I remember few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, I was at a conference, and we had written down our goals on a board, and then we wrote what we wanted to accomplish. And one of the things I wrote on that board was I want to be able to buy a commercial piece of property. I wanted to buy a commercial piece of real estate. And we ended up smashing the board and working through our limiting beliefs and stuff. And anyhow, fast forward, so I got clear on what I wanted. I knew exactly what I wanted the space to look like down to the black awnings on the windows. Like, I knew that I wanted like a specific look and feel. I knew the awnings, the color, how many I wanted. Like, I was crystal clear on that. But then I had to start surrounding myself with the right people. And it was in the conversations, being in the right environments with the right people, that an opportunity actually came out for me to purchase my building or purchase my location. And honestly, I wasn't even ready for it at all. It just sort of came up as Tim and I were sitting around, my accountant and I were having this conversation. And then it was like, well, he's looking at me like, well, why don't you buy? And I was like, I can't buy. Like, I kind of wrote that down on my board. I know what I want it to look like, but I wasn't really, I thought I was going to be leasing that next space. And just like within a week or two, it was all started to come together really rapidly. So the main thing here is that, guys, when we are around people, like, shit just starts to happen and opportunities come up. And the more we ask, or the more that we put out what our intentions are, what we're looking for, what we're working to create, whether it's that gig that you're trying to book for your next music gig. I mean, I have a client right now that, I'm working with, who's transitioning in from a very traditional career into a career of music and a classical guitar. And she's like the most beautiful being on the planet. And she has like so much knowledge and expertise. But, it's like getting ourselves out there and putting ourselves in this environment where opportunities will start to open up for us. So let it be known what you're working for. Let it be known what you're working towards, what you need. And being in proximity with other people, all of a sudden you'll be in conversations and it'll be like, boom, this opportunity to present, or this opportunity to get engaged in a certain project, or an opportunity to sign up for a race, or an opportunity to go on a date with that person you've been wanting to go out with, or whatever, will definitely start to show up because you're just shifting. All right. So let's talk about some practical steps as we kind of like wrap this up and recap, because this is like a big deal. I mean, this is a big deal. And I always get like so fired up when I experience it in my own life. And it has manifested in my life like so many times. And I'm just really dialing that formula in, and I'm learning to accelerate the process through mentors myself, through immersion. But really, what's powerful is the more we do it, the more we practice it, the more natural it becomes. So real quick, the second piece to proximity is like, yes, we want to get around the right people for sure, right? We want to start to have better conversations, but here's the key to proximity. The key to proximity is immersion. Okay, so immersion, what does that mean? Do you dabble? Are you going to dabble with getting around the right environment? Are you going to dabble with like meeting the right person from time to time? Like, oh, maybe once a month or once every other month, I'll kind of go to this event. Or, I'll do a conference once a year. Or, I'll explore other opportunities with my health or invest in a coach down the road, or I'll try this 4-week thing or 6-week challenge or this BS stuff that we do. Are you dabbling? Are you a dabbler? Or are you really committed? And if you're committed, then I want to invite you to just dive in the deep end, like dive into the water. So you can stick your toe in and you can keep sticking your toe in and you'll get a little tiny taste, but the progress is going to come so slow. And the whole point of this video or audio, whatever you're listening to, is really that how do I expand on a quicker level? How do I start to expand and allow more of what I want into my life, receive it, see it, be exposed to it, say yes to it on a quicker scale? And so immersion has got to be part of that. So when I talk about immersion, we're talking about like, how do I get in those environments more often, more frequently? How do I spend more time with those people, those key people that need to be in my life and I need to be in their lives more often? How do I create more opportunities for growth, for exposure? If you're wanting to get fit and healthy and overall your health, I mean, if you're going to the gym once a week, like the results are going to come slow. When I work with someone, I'm always like, guys, minimum 3 times a week. The goal is going to be to start with 3, and then pretty soon I want to see you, doing something every single day, because it's all about momentum. So the more I can immerse myself in it, the more exposure I have, the more exposure, the more experiences, the more confidence I'll gain, because the more I expose myself to something and practice in the moment, I start to develop skills. I start to see that this is a new reality, and it starts to really get ingrained in my nervous system at a deep level. And so now like it becomes my reality faster, and momentum creates motivation. When we break momentum, we're so screwed. And you guys, you hear me talk about this a lot, but momentum creates motivation. So if I just do something once a year, if I'm looking to up level my career or my own personal growth, or I have a conversation with my financial planner once a year or my accountant once a year, and then I never think about money, or I don't have money conversations, or if I am kind of dabbling with this idea of like working out, I do a workout and then I take 2 weeks off and then I eat like crap for days and then I go like on a binge where I'm healthy. This inconsistency as a lack of immersion is going to really drip those results slowly over time. So if that's what you like, cool. That's not like the way I like to roll. Once I commit to something, I'm like, how do I like the minute I learn something, whether I'm reading a book or I'm at a conference, I'm already trying to activate. Like, how do I get this stuff going? And that's through immersion as quickly as possible. I want to expose myself to it as much as possible. Okay, so how are you doing with that? All right. So finally, let's talk about just 3 quick practical steps, or 4 quick practical steps. Number 1 is thinking about like who is in your inner circle right now. So I want you to think about like write out like the 3 to 8 people that are really part of your inner circle that you're leaning on heavily most of the time, you're spending the most time with. And I want you to look at that and be like, okay, does what I want match what these people want, how they live their life? Is there alignment and congruency? If not, if I'm having to like dim my light to be around this group, or diminish what I want, or not talk about it in order to fit in, or, for us to feel that connection, I want to challenge you to really think about like, what can I do to up level? Doesn't mean get rid of, but where can I start to infuse more relationships in my life, either through networking events, clubs, memberships, new friends, asking for new introductions. But it's really like, who is the question? Who do I need to get connected with? Where are these people? How do I get there? Okay, the second thing is what? Asking ourselves what. So what is it that I'm exposing myself to on a regular basis? So, what is the stuff that I'm watching on TV, on social media? What is getting the bulk of my attention? When I wake up in the morning, what's the first thing that I put into my mind? Because if I'm working on abundance, or I'm working on developing greater connections, and I jump on social media and I feel disconnected and I feel like this lack or this scarcity starts to creep in because I'm like, oh, look at what everyone else has that I don't have. Am I really setting myself up for that expansive process, or am I starting the day wrong? So I'm hyper, you guys will hear me talk about ruthless rituals a lot, but it's like, really, what am I allowing to ingest into my mind, And so what is it that I'm surrounding myself with, right? I'm just reading some notes that I had written here. But the other thing to that is like, where is my focus going? And, we always talk about like what we focus on expands, what we focus on grows. So if I keep my focus on what I don't have, or if I focus on what's missing, that's going to be a real big problem for me because I'm going to continue to see more of what's missing and more of what's not there. So where can you shift your focus on the things that are already going right, the things that you already have, the places you already have created momentum? So make the list, make the list of the things that are already moving you closer to what it is that you want. So guys, these are 3 practical steps. Is like, look, where's my tribe at? Where do I need to up level? Sign up for, BNI even has been a group that has been huge for me in starting my high performance coaching practice, launching my mastermind, incredible referrals. So just, where do you need to connect with a tribe? Number 2 is, what are you allowing? What are you giving your attention to? What are you doing in your spare time at night? Are you wasting the night watching TV? What are you doing on the weekends? Where can you direct your attention? Can you invest in a course? Can you work with a mentor? Can you use that time? When clients work with me, I make them carve out time every single day and time on the weekends to really flesh out what it is they want. I give them homework of what they're doing in between sessions to start to create momentum. So we are tapping into this stuff every single day. So that, that dead space, that time becomes very intentional. And finally, it's like, where is the focus? Is it on the lack or what's missing? Or can we start to really dial in that reticular activating system into like, look at all this awesome stuff that is already setting in motion to get me closer to where I want to be. And when we focus on that and we double down on it, we're like, yes, I'm going to double down on that. I'm going to double down on that. It starts moving us closer. All right. And as I wrap up, the only final practical step that there's so many, but the other thing is like really being intentional about crafting the environment that you want to infuse more of in your life. So if you want to have an environment that is healthy and vibrant and energetic, how do you craft your environment to support that? Like, how is your kitchen set up? How are you shopping? How are you setting up your meal times during the day? How are you setting up like the lunch dates or the dinner dates that you're meeting with people? Are you going to crappy restaurants, or are you actually intentionally selecting really good quality places to eat? Are you, enjoying the process? Are you surrounding yourself with books, articles, magazines, water bottles, things like you're really crafting this environment? Same thing financial, whether it's health, whether it's money, whether it's relationships, whether it's the ideal client that you want to work with. I want to really challenge you to take a look at your environment. So we're going to be doing a deeper dive into a lot of these things. But for today, I just wanted to tap in and I wanted to share what was going on with me right now, what I've really been working on within myself. I kind of had a point where I was like hitting a ceiling again. And I love to break that glass ceiling. And every time I feel stuck or plateaued, I know that there's a growth point there for me. I'm like, all right, I'm in this suck, or I'm in this like point of flatlining or going through the motions, or I'm repeating, I'm trying to try the same strategy and it's just not working anymore. I know I got to start to tap back into some of these things. And these are just some really quick, because they are quick, practical, actionable things that I promise you, if you pay attention to what I wrote or what I said, and you are taking notes and you just go implement 1 or 2 or 3 of these things, you are going to that's going to be that first domino that starts to knock all of the other ones over. Okay, guys. So thank you so much for joining me. As always, if you guys, first of all, I would love to hear your feedback. So did this resonate with you? Did it not? What's working for you? Are you already using some of these practices? Where has this shown up for you in a huge way recently? Or maybe it's something that you want to show up for you in a big way. So I'd love to know, is this resonating with you? Is it a hell yes, Christine, I'm totally on board, or not? So comment or hit reply if you're listening to this, or comment below. Secondly, I would love if you would share this with someone else who maybe needs to hear this message. Maybe they're stuck with something that they want, that they're dreaming of, or they've been working towards, and they're just like, they're stuck in their blame game. They're stuck in their excuses. They're stuck in going through the motions or a plateau, and they just feel like they're hitting their head against the wall. So, share this audio, share the video. If it's the blog that you're reading, like, pass this along, share the good vibes. Like, I really think that we can multiply good things. And finally, as always, if this is something where you're like, man, part of this idea of expansion and really surrounding myself is I realize I need a mentor. I need somebody that's really going to guide me and coach me through like a process that I can go through. Then yeah, that's what I do. That's what I'm here for. And that's what I'm really passionate about. And so if you are someone that's listening to this that isn't working with me already or is interested in learning more about what that would look like, I have group coaching programs as well as private coaching. I don't do a lot of private coaching. I have a handful of spots, but I do have some group programs that are launching on a regular basis, and you can dive into that next high performance coaching group or our next level life mastermind. And the mastermind is really exactly what we're talking about here. It's really committing to, a year of working together closely with a tight-knit group who's really like relentlessly focused on growing themselves, on being immersed in that, on creating the environment of just like really being intentional and drawing attention to what we want more of. So if any of that resonates with you, you guys can reach out. There'll be a link attached to this that you can just quickly fill out a form and connect with me or hit reply. And that's really it. You guys have an amazing day. And thanks for joining me. And we'll be diving into some of these topics on a deeper level in our future sessions.